This is World Cup episode number 7. Yeah. All right. Okay. So, all right, here we are on this Tuesday morning, July 14th. Got our coffee. Zico where are you, buddy? You took your daughter to some kind of practice track or whatever?
Yeah, we're at track. Yes, it's the last week of training for track, so it's pretty cute, pretty fun. And so I'm
Nice.
running around doing that, and then I've got a private lesson after this. Running around with the daughter is pretty cool. Again, the son's out of town for almost 2 weeks in a row now. That's depressing. I love to be with the little ones, but she and I
Yeah.
got to go to the pool late last night, and we're getting about 48 hours of special time between dad and daughter. So she's
Yeah.
uh she's running and I'm here watching her, quote unquote, but really happy to be talking about what's going on now in the World Cup and our upcoming events.
Yeah, and Zico had kids a little bit later in life, and so when you're young and you have kids, you're like go all the time. Sometimes you take them a bit for granted, or you're just managing the situation. But sometimes when you're an older parent, it's almost like being a grandparent a bit. You just cherish every moment a little bit
Yep,
more. Not that
yep,
younger parents don't do the same. I was a young parent, but I just remember I was a little more about me when I was young and had
yep.
kids than with my older kids. But anyway, so
And
we
I
have
do have to say one more thing. This is a
yeah,
compliment to all the ladies and whatever, right? 2 weeks ago, when you and I were doing three or four podcasts and I was in South Dakota, an older couple came up to us and asked if I was Beth, my wife, if I was her dad.
Ah, oh man, Beth,
And yeah,
Beth's greatest day ever, and your worst day ever. I mean,
absolutely,
you know
absolutely.
what
But
though? It'd be worse if they said something the other way around. I mean, your wife wouldn't even want to look at you for weeks.
100%, 100%. So
You
I
know?
hope she feels ecstatic about it. And I got to
Yeah.
admit, on top of it, my hair actually started going pretty great 20 years ago. One, and then my better than a couple years ago, but still fat knee. I got to admit, I don't look at it. So
You're looking a
pretty
little
funny,
decrepit. Yep.
pretty funny.
No,
Yes, yes.
I feel the same way about Crystal. I look at her and then I look at myself in the mirror and go, "Oh man, how's she engaged to such an old
Yeah,
fart like me?" But
yeah.
anyway, all right. So we have some exciting things coming up. We have Vail, our 27th year in Vail. Our World Finals this year. We call it a World Finals because it's fun, but also we do get some international teams that come to the event, which is nice. We'd love for that to be a bigger international event every year, and any team's welcome to our Vail event. Even though it's a World Finals or national championship that's been historically, the pool play the first day, and then you go into a national cup division or a World Cup division versus a World Championship division. And the World Championship is a bigger prize than the World Cup, but you get the point is the first day tough competition for some, easy competition for others. The second day you get put in the right bracket, and it's even a better day. So it gets better as the
Yeah.
tournament goes on. And then we're going to have a 1v1 and 2v2 tennis soccer tournament the night before as part of our activation down in the fields, which will be a lot of fun. We kicked that off just this last week in Highland Ranch. We had this 1v1 tournament and 2v2 soccer tennis tournament that were a lot of fun. We'll have to talk about that later. Did your son and his friend end up winning that 2v2 soccer tennis tournament?
No, they won two games, lost one. They lost their first one, and
Yeah.
actually they were a little bit bitter because they said that they played against a couple guys who all they did is hit the ball back, hit the ball back, hit the ball back, and they said that the ball must have hit the top of the net and just looped over, like just fallen over. They said 5 or 6 times. And they're like, my
Nice.
God, the guys didn't even like. They never made a pass. And Jack and Van said that they made a couple passes back and forth and would work the ball back towards the net,
Yeah.
within the 1 yard gap of the net. And they said they never made a single pass. They would just smack it back and it hit the net and fell over a couple times. So I don't know. I
It's
didn't see.
interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. We'll see how that goes. And then we have Charlotte, North Carolina, a tournament there this weekend. And actually, I meant to say Vail is 2 weeks from now. It's July 24th through 26th. We're having that event. And then Charlotte, North Carolina this weekend, and Pueblo, Colorado this weekend. And then we have some stuff coming up in Boston, Massachusetts. I think one at the end of July and one in August as well. So we got a lot of stuff. Like the same weekend we have Vail, we also have a tournament in Boston. Yeah, that's going to be a smaller tournament, but it should be a great event out there. It's a great facility that we have. Same place I think we had the event last year in Taunton on Black Friday. But anyway, all right. So we're talking about wrapping up the final eight. Do it quickly. France, Morocco. I don't think this surprised anybody. I'll say about generally about all four games, they were pretty good matchups. The Switzerland Argentina game, I'm sorry, the Switzerland Argentina Norway, England, and games seemed like they were tighter, even though Argentina, Switzerland wasn't. Oh, we'll talk about that a little bit. But Spain, I felt like Spain was just consistently better than Belgium throughout the game. And France was consistently better than Morocco throughout the game. And so those games didn't feel like, for a while, it felt like Belgium actually might pull it off. But
Yeah.
Spain kept up. And the one thing I didn't realize is because I haven't been giving Spain a bunch of credit. If I'm not mistaken, Spain has not had many goals. Yeah, they only conceded one goal in 6 matches, and we haven't even talked about that.
Yeah.
As much as I don't think of Spain as a defensive team, you can't say they're not a good defensive team if they've blanked everybody but Belgium, right?
Yeah. I think one thing too is Spain defends by keeping the ball, right? And they
Yeah.
keep the tempo and they keep the ball. And the thing with Spain is they tied that first game against Cabo Verde and then instantly so, whoa, that's hilarious. Wow, Spain, they're going to underachieve a bit. They look, and then since then they've won 5 games in a row, and they've only given up one goal in those 5 games, and it was to Belgium. And so Spain, I think we said it on the last video even, but Spain has sneakily gotten into the semifinals as the number one or two because they go back and forth with France and Spain as the number one or two ranked team in the world. How do you get to the semifinals of the World Cup sneakily when you're the number one or two ranked team in the world? But that's what they did. That's what they
Yeah.
did. And they did it because of tying one game against an island nation just off of Africa. And so, I think that Spain, France, going to be wicked because France is scoring more goals than anybody and Spain's not giving up goals. So both of those two, I've got to say, Morocco seemed afraid of France, which surprised me actually. I wouldn't have called that. And
No, why do you
yeah,
think you didn't think so? You didn't think Morocco should have been
I
afraid
didn't
of
think
France?
they were going to be because so many of them played in youth teams together. Remember that? So many of them played together in French national squads because let's be honest, France, their borders are very open to Africa. And so they have so many African players being raised in France, playing in France. And we play together for 3 or 4 years in youth national teams. Then you turn around and go back to Morocco, and we're playing against each other. And we were teammates for years, and now we're playing against each other. It was weird to me. It seemed like Morocco, I dare say, acquiesced to France. Never gave them their best foot forward. It seemed like to me.
Yeah, yeah.
0-0 at halftime. France probably should have been up 2 goals, and then Morocco's best 10 minutes were the first 10 minutes of the second half. And then suddenly 20 minutes in the second half and they're down 2-0. Funny.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. They decided to go for it and they got exposed part of it
Yep.
there. And Spain, Belgium, I was pulling for Belgium for this reason. Anytime you get smacked by a team, if your team gets beat by a team, you're like, what if they win the whole World Cup? People will be like, we got beat by the world champions. We
Yeah.
didn't get beat by someone who went out in the round of 8.
Yeah.
And so I was but Spain was their quality was just a little bit above Belgium's, obviously keeping possession, being patient. But Belgium did make it a game. Trying to think about some of my notes on Belgium. Again, like you said, Spain controlled possession. Belgium strong defensively. So they weren't easy to score against until they finally got scored against, broke them down a bit. But yeah. All
And
right.
and
Go
going
ahead.
into that, Belgium had scored 7 goals in 2 hours, if you remember that. Belgium had
Yeah.
just lit it up, scored 7 goals in 2 hours. But then if you
Yeah.
can't get the ball, you can't score goals. And Spain kept the
Yeah.
ball. I would say that was the summer. Belgium were hot and scoring goals, but you know what? They couldn't get the ball.
Yeah.
Spain defends well. Belgium was scoring well, but you know what? The team that defends well is going to win when they have the ball. Yeah. So
Yeah.
go
No,
ahead.
you're
Sorry.
right. No, that was perfect. And then we got England 2-1 over Norway. That was interesting because the game was England seemed to get the better of Norway most as far as it seemed like the game was kind of going their way. Holland had a couple, maybe I saw them have one or two chances to score, but Then they come back and they tie it. And it really looked like it was Norway was going to have a good chance to win that game, but England stepped up and was impressive. I was impressed by England in that game because I thought they'd have a tougher time with Norway. Although we knew that they had big defenders that could handle Norway's attacking big attackers and stuff like that. So it wasn't a big surprise, but I was impressed by England.
Yeah, I think that England, think about it, really, if you're going to say something, geez, they came back against Mexico. Or no, they went way ahead against Mexico, sorry. After such pressure against Mexico, you're up 2-0, the game's coming. And then you give away a goal. And then you get a red card. It's almost like it was a comeback. And it wasn't a comeback, but it feels like it was a comeback. And then they had to defend for 20 minutes, one player down, only one goal up. And then they came back against Norway. You got to give them credit. The one thing that England traditionally wants to do is stay away from penalty kicks because England cannot win a penalty kick. They want to stay away from penalty kicks. So if you look at it, they won that game against Mexico, where if Mexico would have tied the game, they would have had 30 minutes to beat England. If you remember being down 3-2 and a man up, they would have had 30 minutes to beat England with a man up. They would have done that. 30 minutes like that. But then instead they pulled that one off and then they come back against Norway. And the thing is, I don't know if you heard, Holland supposedly was a little bit ill or off in that game. They said he was a little bit ill or off. And if you notice, they were behind and they took him out when they were behind. And I think, you know what, somebody who's not Holland but is healthy. Supposedly, I'm not saying he had the flu or something, but I heard that he was sort of ill. And I understand them not saying that because one, if you were English and you knew what you got the flu, great, or whatever it is, great. But the other thing is sometimes you can pop up a guy like Holland up there, and he draws so much attention somebody else could score. But if you notice, he didn't do
Yeah.
a whole lot in that game by any means. He got in, I think, 2 headers, but right at the keeper and under duress, under pressure. So England did well. And then the question is, I would like to ask Yesty again, like, this has nothing to do with Esty, but things merge, don't they? Things converge. And then is this on your side of things or not? But did that ball hit the camera way up? Because it sure does look like it fell straight out of the air. The goal kick that fell straight out of the air to Anderson, I believe it was. Did it hit the camera way up high above the stadium, way up high in the stadium? It looked like it did. So no matter what, it's such a game of inches. There's going to be controversy. When imagine you hit a ball and it hits a camera that's 120 feet off the ground and sliding on a rope. You wouldn't really expect that. I think England's looking strong, and I think that England's last 2 games, in theory, will be harder than Argentina is right now. And how do I talk smack about Argentina right now? They're beating everybody, but every game seems so borderline, so controversial. And again, they're an old group. They're holding on, man. They're an old group. They've looked more tired than the other team at the end of every game to me, but they're doing it. They're Argentina. Come on, man. They bring a big name. They're doing it. But
Right.
to me, it seems like Mexico had more energy and youth than it was in Mexico. And then Norway had more belief and things going their way and the country behind them. And Argentina's Argentina, but they're tired and they look tired.
And they seem to be a fan favorite. I think obviously they're in the U.S. There is Messi plays in the U.S. So there's a lot of USA fans. The kids love him. He's the hero. He's just a big soccer hero. So it'll be interesting to see. And of course, there's some bar controversy during this. And what we're going to do is we're going to get S.A. Barhatmat. That's how you say his last name, right?
Or hummus.
Bahamas. Give me S.A. Bahamas out here again. FIFA referee we interviewed last year, and we're going to talk to him about VAR. Want to get his feedback on it because he's probably going to have some interesting insights. If you know his story, he was before there was VAR, he was a victim and/or no, he was saved by VAR a little bit. It wasn't actually VAR, but he was saved by a video and affirmed by one. I'm looking at the average age of the players. Argentina is the oldest team, and Spain is the youngest team. But Spain, France, and England are all they're under 27 years on average, and Argentina is just under 29, which is interesting. I heard this statistic years ago, but the average age of a World Cup player is almost always about 26, 27. And that's when, if you think about how it crosses over, when mental, your tactical prowess, your mental prowess is going up because of your experience and knowledge as a player, right? While your physical ability is going down, where they meet to where the average of where you're the smartest you can be and still physically able to play soccer, the highest level is about 26 or 20, 26 or 27. Obviously, there's outliers. There's guys playing older and there's guys playing younger who pick up the tactical thing younger, and some guys that stay fit for a little bit longer. But the average is 27, and that I just got that stat on there. That kind of makes sense. And who knows? Maybe Argentina would be a lot lower if Messi didn't start, right? Because that's because he throws off the average quite a bit. So it's not as disparate as maybe it feels like to you. We're really talking about a year and a half between Argentina and Spain, and that kind of thing. But a year and a half between the youngest team, average 11 starters, and the oldest team, average 11 starters. Is not as different as maybe we thought it was, right? I hate to contradict you on stats, Zico, but you are right. Argentina is the older team. Yeah, man. And that red card. Let's talk about that VAR red card, because induced red card, maybe we will call it. Because on the one hand, I'm super happy that when guys get busted for taking dives, that they get penalized with a yellow, right? When I'm so happy that they're doing that. I didn't realize though that it was a mandatory yellow. If I get a yellow for tripping you and VAR shows I did not trip you, then the ref has no choice that when the call is reversed, he gives a yellow to the guy who took the dive. And it's, to me, like I said, I hate diving. I hate that part of the game. But even diving, I guess, if he's not touched at all, it's not like one of those things where someone slid in front of him, pushed the ball past, and then he decided, well, instead of jumping over this guy, I'm going to let my foot hit him and fall over, where you're initiating contact and VAR starts getting involved in that action. That's going to be tough because it's so subjective. And hey, who's to tell me I got to lift up my leg and try and get over 100%. A guy, right? But when he's not touched at all, but it just seems weird to me that, but it just seems weird to me too that they would, just in this one instance, go so hard on the yellow, because I'm like, why should it matter whether you gave that guy a yellow and then, oh no, because I didn't give him a yellow, I got to give him a yellow? Because I get it, but it still just seems weird. It should just be the referee can say, hey, if you're taking a dive, and give you a warning, not a yellow, and it happens again, then I'll give you a yellow, like they might with some other things. Because sometimes you can get a cumulative foul,
I think they're trying to say, once you've gone to the VAR, I think they're trying to protect the ref. Once you've gone to the VAR, you have no choice, ref. You need to card him. Because if they go to the VAR and the ref doesn't card him for a dive, and the next ref goes to the VAR and he cards him for a dive, like, I think they're trying to make it black and white, if that makes sense, because there's so much gray area. Here's the other frustration. He went to VAR, so he gave a yellow card to the Swiss player. Well, something that people are upset with is either Lautaro Martinez or Julian Alvarez of Argentina. When they scored a goal in that game, they were on a yellow card, and they went and jumped over the signage and ran to the crowd and jumped on the edge of the crowd, hugging the crowd like the Lambeau Leap sort of people say. And that's supposed to be excessive celebration. They're saying something like that. That's a yellow card also. And so I think a lot of people are upset because the Argentinian on a yellow card got by with excessively celebrating, running off the field, jumping over the signage, jumping into the arms of the crowd or high-fiving the crowd. You know what? High-fiving the crowd and say, why didn't he get a yellow? It wasn't taken to VAR. Let's be honest. It wasn't taken to VAR. Does that make sense? So he didn't get a yellow. And the ref could claim, I was back at the center circle and I didn't notice. Doesn't have to be addressed, let's say. But once it's taken to VAR, it's got to be addressed, right? So the truth is, the Argentinian was worthy of a second yellow card, but he didn't get it. So I think a lot of people are frustrated because, man, Argentina's got a lot of breaks here with VAR or what have you. But I don't deny the Swiss player getting a second yellow card. But you're right. What's to say If there is contact, then what's it say? Because they've been saying, if you notice that he dragged his leg to get contact. Okay, like sometimes they say he dragged his close his
Yes.
leg to get contact. Did I drag it? No, I just didn't lift it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you're
Yep.
right. It's going to get dangerous when there's contact. It's going to get dangerous now.
Yep. Yeah. No. Yeah. It's tough. I think when in NFL VAR, they only have specific things that they can have VAR on, and a lot of the fouls. For a while, they were trying to say they could do VAR on pass interference, but it seemed like they stopped even considering that now.
Yeah.
And sometimes I get frustrated. So why don't we have VAR on that? But I think it's worked out better. Most of their VARs are most of VAR situations in NFL are when it's something like, did the ball go over the line? What's the first down mark?
Yeah.
I think maybe the worst one with VAR is sometimes it'll look like the player hit the quarterback in the head, a la Tom Brady when the
Yeah.
AFC
Yeah.
Championship against the Chiefs that first year. And he didn't get hit in the face, but it was a game changing penalty where it's not that it wasn't subjective. Oh, that was a hold or not a hold. It was like, no, he didn't even get hit in the face. I think
Yeah.
if there's no contact, maybe, but football is so subjective on every call. And it's funny because a lot of people complain, I don't understand, blah, blah, blah. If you were really watching an NFL football game, you could call a hold or whatever on almost every single play. But I think VAR admittedly is doing a better job than soccer is at that. And I think in baseball, it's kind of the same way. Baseball is a game of was it in or out, like we talked about the other
Yeah.
day, other than the
Well,
strike and ball thing. But anyway, go ahead,
well,
Zico.
let's go back to this. No, what you just said. You said a hold on every single play. Let's go back to this. Norway got a second goal, but Holland pushed a player. And if you remember, a lot of people are like, they all have that in the Premiership. The Premiership is the dominant league theme in the English speaking world. The English language is the world language as a whole. And so most people are biased towards watching Premiership and the physicality in the Premiership. So you watch the Premiership, like, he could get by with that Man City. Who cares? It's not the Premiership. And the referees aren't a bunch of English guys. These are referees from all over the world and VAR crews from all over the world. And it's tough because if that happened in the center circle, it wouldn't be considered a foul. Maybe it would, because the truth is they were facing each other chest to chest, let's say. But did he get an advantage from it? Was it contact away from the ball? But was it excessive contact away from the ball? And if you're biased to the Premiership, you'd say, no, it wasn't. But the World Cup's always been refereed different than the Premiership or the English First Division. In fact, the English First Division had their own way of playing, and it was just fast and crazy, and they played through the winter. So when you play from fall through the winter to spring in England, don't you think it's going to be a fast game? It's bloody cold there, and it's wet, and the grass is 17, 18 millimeters long, and it's wet. And on top of it being wet, today, just in case, they're going to water the field, right? They do during all the water breaks. Literally, people are drinking water and they're blowing the water out. So then that's the other thing is how about the quote unquote controversial goal that Norway scored when Holland pushed the player? But I think he
Yeah.
actually wound up bumping two players over, I think, at different points. And there could be a hold on everything. I got to be honest. If they want to make more exciting, you got to allow the players to defend. But there are 10 holds on every single corner kick. As
Oh
bad
yeah.
as the NFL. As bad as the
Yeah.
NFL.
Yeah.
Why can't Holland push the guy away when the guy's holding him?
Yeah.
He can
Yeah.
hold you, but you can't push him. It's just, man, a lot of controversy with that stuff.
Yeah,
I
it is.
really
And
want to hear SC on this.
I do too. And sometimes I feel like the referee's talking to a bunch of kindergartners. Go, guys, come on, stop it. Settle down. Hands on heads, hands on
Yep.
shoulders. Look at
Yeah.
me. Look at me. Calm down
Yeah.
because they're acting like anytime you get people, because the women can get very physical and pissed off at each other as well. But anytime you get competitors in this tight space all together vying for position, it doesn't and they're all trying to the dark arts. How can I get away with this? How can I get away with that?
Yep.
And if I don't try to get away with it, that guy's going to. So it just becomes this interesting thing. And I remember a coach saying this when I was coming up, and one of my mentors, he said, if as players, if you're not pushing the envelope during the game on what you think the referee may or may not call, then you're not playing the game because the other team might do that. So you're always you're like a teenager, always trying to get away with as much as you can without getting busted. And then when you get busted, even for the most obvious thing that you did wrong, you're like, what?
Yeah.
I saw a guy like throw a guy down or something. And then he's what? I think it was I think it was Spain left forward, the guy with the long hair. He obviously committed a foul. And when the referee called it against him, he threw his hands up in the air like a teenager would. That wasn't me when he obviously did it. And so the players I think they're trained through their whole lives and in pro soccer, that dark arts, that mental gamesmanship
100%.
that isn't just against the other team, it's also against the ref. And when you go out there as a referee, and I don't know, I'm going to essay about this as well. Every other sport that I can think of, major sport I can think of, it's a team of referees on the court, on the pitch, on the rink, right?
Yeah.
And they have supporting staff, right? And I would say it's like this. When you're a single parent with teenage kids, man, they bully you all over the place. But when you're in a healthy marriage with teenage kids and your son back talks to his mom, the dad's right there to go, hey, you don't talk to your mom like that, right? And I feel like if we had two referees on a two-man system on the field and then the assistant referees off, I almost feel like we wouldn't need VAR. And we'd also have the referees could come together, have a conversation, and then make a final decision that way. Because it's like we talked about the other day, second guessing yourself, right? I could have sworn he pushed him, or I could have sworn he threw him down, but the guy's throwing such a big fist or what I teach my kids to do, for example, I don't teach them to cheat or do whatever. Anytime the ball goes out of bounds, act like it's yours. Anytime it's close, just act like it's your. Of course, it's our throw in, whether or not it is, because the referee sometimes is looking for visual cues and he's looking for the reaction of the players. These guys are acting like it's their ball on the throw in. These guys aren't reacting at all, so I must have seen it wrong, right? So it goes back to what we were talking about, where you can doubt yourself, right?
And you'll see referees allow players to make the call. They'll allow players to make the call themselves. Like I don't know what happened. And come on, man, the field's way bigger than an NFL field. It's like a Canadian Football League field. It's like a CFL field. It's really big, extra wide, extra long, and so it's whoever acts confident and picks it up. We're going to go with that because. How can that ref because it's not all three of them go to the camera. Only the ref goes to the camera. Only the ref comes back and speaks in a second, third, or fourth language, explaining in English. It's in second, third, fourth language, explaining in English what the call was. After further looking at the camera, I will. It's like, that guy's, it's like now I need to practice my fourth language skills in front of a billion people. It's brutal.
There's no language I could say that in other than English.
Well,
I'm sure you could say it in Portuguese and probably Spanish, but you certainly couldn't say it in. But I couldn't.
You couldn't say Cabo Verde, and you're having a hard time with Essie's last name.
I know.
Can't just say it in English.
But I can say croissant.
I know, correct.
If I go to a coffee shop, I will always say croissant.
Exactly.
All right. Funny. Yeah. Boy, we'll have to talk about the 3v3 tournament we just had this Sunday. It was our biggest event out in Highlands Ranch. And we kicked off soccer, tennis, and then we did 1v1. We did 1v1 in our little airfield boundary thing.
Yeah.
And Zico, I knew that was going to be a battle, right? 1v1's a battle, and everybody's watching you. And we had a 10-year-old division, and we had a 6-year-old division for 1v1s. And I just wish the parents would have not said anything. Most of the parents are good. They just didn't say much. But it was a 4-minute 1v1 match, and we gave a 30-second break in the middle of it. It was 100 degrees. And we were like, we really need to cut this down to 3 minutes. We probably should cut it down to 2 minutes. Because 1v1, with 1v1 soccer, it's fitness, it's intensity, it's tactical, it's technical, it's everything at once for as hard as you can go for it's anaerobic essentially.
Yep.
And we had a couple of parents yelling at their kid, come on, move it, go harder, yelling at their kid, and kids started crying. And so it just, you got 4 minutes, you can't shut up and let your kid play 1v1 soccer.
I know. It's
just
amazing.
cheer them on. It's like, just for 4 minutes. And I tried to cut it back to 3 minutes. And one parent goes, no, these are supposed to be 4 minutes long. And I'm looking at this lady. I'm like, okay, let's see you get out there and do 1 minute of 1v1 soccer and see how you handle it. Because this is, I'm looking at these kids. So parents, come on, encourage your kids. Let's not yell at them during the game.
It's like running for 4 minutes as hard as you can, and your goal is 4 minute mile. It's to get as close to a mile as you can in 4 minutes, because they're little kids, they can't get there. Get as close, run as hard as you can, get as close as you can to a mile in 4 minutes. That's what it's like. And the truth is, the parent has a hat on, they've got sandals on, they've got shorts on too. They might have a muscle shirt on or something like that, and they're drinking a nice coffee or a nice tea.
Yeah,
and then their kids. It's amazing. It's amazing. I agree.
It was, and the thing
You
is,
want passion. You want it controlled, though.
Yes, yep. Conversely, Zico, you'll be, and we're talking about the games in a second, but I was so proud of myself because we talk about how development is always winning and winning isn't always development, right? Well, we had 5 individual players sign up for U7, and I was like, I can't give that team to one of our college kids or dumping off on one of our operations guys. They manage this team or get somebody. I took on the kid because I have hundreds, if not thousands of hours of experience coaching the really young ones. You've been so proud of me. I was proud of myself because the temptation is I'm going to 3v3. We had 5 matches, round robin. I knew we were going to get smoked the whole time, right? Because we're putting together a team playing against formed, established teams. And 3v3 exposes everything. Luckily, they were young enough to where none of our competitors were organized, right? But this is why I'm proud of myself. I went in the game. I said to the parents and the kids the first thing. I said, our objective is not going to be to win a game today. Our objective is going to be to play our hardest. And what I want out of you guys when you go on the field, give yourself a point every time you hustle, every time you dribble, every time you tackle, every time you get back on defense. If you score a goal, give yourselves 1,000,000 points. I don't care. But they were coming off the field. We lost every game. We were last place, 100-degree weather, 96 degrees, but in the Colorado sun, beating down on you.
Oh, yeah.
In the sun, it's like 110. These kids, all in the afternoon, we got a 4:00 game. They were still going strong. And they'd be like, literally coming off, Coach, what's the score? I go, I don't know. I really didn't know what the score was half the time because I was just focused on how they were playing. I wouldn't let them kick the ball. We started off every goal kick with 2 guys next to one another. I touch it to you, then we go next. And I told the parents, look, we're just going to get better from the beginning of the tournament to the end of the tournament. That's all I care about. And these kids having fun. We don't care about the score. We want them. And man, it was in the worst environment possible. I felt like, we might have got our worst loss was 6-1, 6-0.
Wow, that's bad at 3v3.
That's not bad. Yeah. And then we had a couple games. One game I thought we won. This is how much I paid attention to the score. One game I thought we won. We lost 4-2. I was like, oh, okay. But
and you went to
really
the tent and threw a temper tantrum?
Yeah. No, but the other thing I want to say, Zico, is that the parents, they're like me, Highlands Ranch parents. We are used to getting our way. We're used to being competitive. I grew up in suburban America. We get what we want when we want that. We win games. We're always fighting, winning. I had just met them that day. Didn't know any of them. I told them this was my focus. Development's always winning is always development. This is what we're going to focus on, playing soccer. I gave them the whole, I'm going to coach it like I would coach basketball. You guys wouldn't tell a basketball player to throw the ball that way, would you? And they're like, you're right. We wouldn't. Yeah. So I gave them that speech. They couldn't have been supportive the whole day. And as much as you and I historically kind of complain about parents getting in the way of good coaching, I've been impressed with the number of times where I've gotten a group of parents together and said, this is what we're focusing on. This is why. They go, that makes sense, right? I'm a smart, educated person. I want to do things that make sense. I want to do what's best for my kid. And this coach is telling me what he's going to do. Tell me why it's best for my kid. actually makes sense. And now they weren't perfect. Sometimes you hear from the sidelines going, Johnny, kick it harder.
Of course.
Because
Because this
that's
game
like
we're tied 2-2 with 5 minutes left. Like just for the
right,
next 5 minutes,
exactly,
get a
exactly.
result.
It's like I accidentally left my cheeseburger on my coffee table yesterday, and my Rottweiler ate half of it. I still ate the other half because I didn't care. It was such a good cheeseburger. But I was like, is that my fault or my Rottweiler's fault? Because
Here's the next thing is,
yeah,
we all do it. If there is not communication, you fill
yes,
it in with paranoia. That's a fact. You need
yes.
communication, right? And again, like you said, a marriage, coaching, whatever. It's why are they communicating to me? Whatever. If there's not communication, people fill it in more of a negative way than a positive way. It's, hey, that girl, she's always been my friend. She's grown into a beauty, but she never talks to me anymore. She must think I'm ugly. You know
Right.
the truth though.
No, you're right.
She's
Introverts
stuck up.
oftentimes,
She's just
yeah.
better, whatever. Yeah, and that's the truth. And so you're not going to think she doesn't talk to me. It must be because she's intimidated by me and thinks that I'm gorgeous too. You don't do that. Instead, you're like, oh, she must think she's better than me. So if you don't communicate with parents early on, you got to realize that they're going to go into a more defensive shell in their outlook of everything. So it's good that you did that.
Yeah, and man, and I haven't coached for a while because my kid's empty nester or whatever, but it was so much fun to just have it go that way. Now, there's sometimes I might crying, parents mad at me because we're not walking the ball down the field. You never know. All right. Anyway, so let's see. One thing I wanted to, okay, we're going to move on. We're going to talk about France, Spain, England, Argentina. To me, France, Spain, two great teams. It'll be interesting to see if Spain's defense can hold up to France because we suspect that the main reason Spain has had so few goals scored against them is because they possess the ball a lot. But they also, I don't think they didn't play Norway. They didn't play
No,
England.
no,
And France, England, and Norway, I'd say are the three teams that probably had the most physical, strongest forwards that were organized overall. Whereas
yep,
Argentina is going to be a little more balanced in the attack. You got to worry about
yep.
what Messi's going to do, where he's going to spot the ball. But so Spain hasn't played someone like France yet this event, I don't think. Although, did they play Belgium? Did Spain play
No,
Belgium?
France,
Did they?
Spain played Belgium in this last game. Yeah, Spain
Yeah,
played Belgium
because
in this last
Belgium, yeah, and that's a good test because Belgium has some strong
game.
forwards
Yep,
and some physicality. It's hard. It's a tough one to pick
yep.
with France, Spain. I think it's because Spain's the sleeper. It's like everybody wanted to pick the Chiefs in the Super Bowl once. No, they're going up against the Eagles, and the Eagles rock. And the last time they played the
Yeah.
Eagles, people like by default. But it's the Chiefs. Oh, but it's Spain. They'll beat France. I'm like, no, I think France has a good chance of winning them. Anyway, what are your thoughts on it?
I think again it's going to be possession and defense by Spain against France. I think hitting more on the counterattack. In a sick way, I think that France could hold the ball. I think they played cowardly soccer the last two World Cups, to be honest, and they've gotten to the World Cup final. They have so much talent, and this year they're doing it. This World Cup, they've got so much talent, but they've always played on the counterattack. It's like, why don't you just go out there and? It's like Brazil played against Norway. It's like, why don't you go out there and actually dominate the ball, dominate the game? France has played like that for the last couple World Cups, where they hit on the counterattack, and I think that when you have Spain who wants to possess the ball, then you can hit on the counterattack. Period. I don't think Spain is going to give the ball up to France. So I think it could work out though, where France gets a couple counterattacks against Spain's possession and score a couple goals because they have three extremely physically gifted, fast players up front, technically gifted too. And so I hope for Spain, but man, I'll tell you this. Spain is going to have possession, I would expect, and France is going to hit on the counterattack.
Yeah,
Now you
well,
need
it's going
France
to be
to miss those.
interesting. Yeah, two different styles to play. And that's why they play the game. We got, 1 o'clock. I might actually get some of this out before the game. So England, Argentina, history there, right? Crystal and I were watching the last game we were watching together, and I said, "Oh, let me show you a video of Argentina playing against England, where he scored the greatest goal in the history of the World Cup, arguably, just because he started out on his own defensive half with the ball and dribbled past the
Yeah.
whole team." And then, you know what? It wasn't even a fancy dribble all that much. It's more like there's one guy coming, 6 or 8 guys, and sometimes that's a detriment because everybody thinks the other guy's got him. Oh, you got him, right?
Yep.
No, you got him. And pretty soon he dribbled past everybody and scored. And then at the end, they're like, oh, crap, nobody has him. We better stop him. It almost felt like that's how he beat the whole team. And then, of course, the hand of God, where I'm watching on YouTube. I go, you can kind of see how his hand goes magically. Yeah. You can't even see his hand. All the ball changed direction above his head.
Correct.
In the old video, VAR wouldn't have worked. It would have looked like magic. But that's the history behind the game, Argentina, England. Plus, if I'm not mistaken, those companies have gone to war against each other and not to. They have a bad history in the real world, with wars
in 1981, they had the Falklands War, and those are a couple islands just off of the Argentine coast. They went to the Falklands War, and Argentinians said that they owned it. They call it Las Malvinas, is what they call the islands, and they took over the islands pretty much. And Margaret Thatcher sent some ships there and all, and said, "I don't think so." And the war was over really quickly, to be honest. But they've had disdain for each other. But that said, it's Brits who brought the game of soccer, football, to Uruguay, Brazil, and Argentina with sailors back in the late 1800s and early 1900s. So there's that history there of the game being brought by Brits to Argentina and Uruguay. And then there's this war in 81, Las Malvinas, or the Falklands War, they called it, the Falklands War. And then 86, just 5 years later, they play each other, and Maradona scores the greatest goal and the hand of God goal, as he called it. And so they have wicked history there.
They do. So it'll be interesting to see. England looks so strong. I think Argentina has that 12th man on their team, the referee or VAR.
Yeah.
They got VAR number 12.
Correct.
VAR number 12 for Argentina. England, it'd be got a bit of a favor against Switzerland on the VAR too. So maybe they both
England against Norway.
Against. Oh wait, no, that was England against Norway. Did they get help? Oh, that's where they Norway get a card?
Holland threw a player down when they got a second goal, but he threw a player down, is what was interpreted. And then they think that England's goal hit the camera way above the stadium and fell down, remember? And that's what led to England. Again, the English-speaking world, you see the English league, and it's in English. And their players are so promoted because most of them play in England. Most of them, let's say. And so there's a bit of an affinity for it, if that makes sense. A bit of an Anglophile in everybody for that. So there's that hope. You either love or hate England.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this Final Four on the screen going, my biggest disappointment is it's not Croatia, Norway, Mexico, or USA. There's that, like when Croatia made the finals years ago, it was awesome because it was somebody different besides France, Spain, England, Argentina, or Brazil, who's not up here, right? And so in a way, I'm kind of looking at it going, it's like we expect the U.S. to win the Olympic basketball, right? I don't even watch Olympic basketball all that much because I'm like, we're going to win it. It's not good. It's like knowing the ending of a movie, right? Because now hockey, you don't know who's going to win it, so you watch that. And I'm looking at this going, wow, France, Spain, England, Argentina. Boy, the odds makers didn't predict that, right?
No kidding.
Exactly,
it is literally the number 1 through 4 ranked team in the world, and 5 and 6 being Portugal and Brazil, or Brazil and Portugal. I think Portugal and Brazil. So it's literally the top 4 ranked teams in the world, and it's the first time it's ever happened. And so I hope Spain, I think France, I believe England. But I'm just I don't know. They're both going to be tight. They're both going to be good.
Yeah, they are. That's why they play the games. Oh wait, and then so France and Spain are playing in Dallas. It's going to be hot. That could give. They're both European teams who play during the fall and winter time. Spain's a little bit warmer than France, maybe, but not that. Even France is like the Midwest. It's parallel with us on the thing. And then England, Argentina is in Atlanta. I'm going to assume that's indoors, but I can't remember.
It's got to be, man.
Is Atlanta Stadium indoors? It's got to be. It's fully enclosed, climate controlled, so that'll be great. But Dallas, can they close the roof there? Let me double check.
They can, and they should. It only
Yeah.
makes sense. I bet both.
They are. They're both going to be air conditioned.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's probably the best thing. They're going to be playing air conditioned. What's funny is I used to manage All American indoor sports, and we were the only air conditioned indoor facility. But you're going to set your air conditioner at 72 degrees, right? And people would complain that it wasn't cool enough. I'm like, it's as cool as you have your house set, but go run around your house for an hour. You're probably going to sweat your butt off, right? So
100%.
72 degrees, the people will be comfortable sitting in the stadium, but it's still going to be hot for those players running around, though, but not 90, 100 degrees hot. My World Cup Warriors were yesterday, man. Those guys were amazing. Anyway, all right, brother, you got a busy day ahead of you. Excited to watch the game, see what happens next 2 days. And then we'll be back on Friday, right? So yeah, we'll plan to see you on Friday. And it's gonna be an exciting game. It'll be interesting to see what happens. So cheers. Have a good day. Enjoy those kids, Zico.
Thank you, man. See you, Dan.
All right, talk to you later.